As part of Earth Week, Duluth nonprofit Ecolibrium3 has hosted a series of community learning sessions. A session today featured the National Renewable Energy Lab presenting on renewable energy, electrification, and transportation research that they're doing in Duluth. Here with more is Jody Slick, CEO of Ecolibrium3. And Jody, thanks for coming in tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. The National Renewable Energy Lab in town. Talk about that presentation and why it was important to get those national voices in on the local conversation.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate in that we're in a partnership with the City of Duluth that received a technical assistance grant from the Department of Energy to really look at what does it mean at a community scale to move towards this clean energy environment that we're talking about. And so generally, when we talk about that, we're talking about electrifying everything and then taking the carbon out of electricity. And so if you think about how we generally heat our homes and power our vehicles right now, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so we get to have some free rent in the brains of really smart people at NREL to help us with research and better understand how we need to do that as a community.
And what were some of the key points that they made in their presentation today?
Yeah, so they focused on three different areas. One was on transportation, and a lot of that work, because this project is really centered as Lincoln Park as a pilot area, was looking at the upcoming redo of West Superior Street. And what does it mean to really create that street that's going to be flexible as we go through lots of these changes, from EVs to intelligent vehicles and even autonomous vehicles, which was fascinating. And then the other two sections is there's a lot of modeling that's going on our commercial buildings and our residential buildings, and what are the best ways in which we can make those transitions happen.
So how then is the community impacted by Equilibrium?
So this week, I think, has been a pretty good example of the work that Ecolibrium3 has been doing. And tomorrow we actually have EcoFest, which will be from 11 to 3 at Clyde Iron, along with 200 people that are going to be helping us clean the community in the morning. But this week has featured the conversations on things like renewable energy. We actually do energy audits for households and have taken the lead in helping especially low-income households become more energy efficient. And then we also had what I thought was amazing, an open house at the Eco3 farm, which a lot of people don't know about. But that is about 2.5 acres up at Lake Superior College, in which Ecolibrium3 is kind of administering it and holding it so we can have lots of different community partners grow food and seedlings out in the neighborhood.
So there are some large-scale things that can be done by a community, and there are some small things that people can do in their homes and businesses. Talk about some of those maybe no-cost, low-cost improvements that people can make in their homes or businesses, their daily lives, that really would make a difference if everybody was doing them.
Yeah, so on the low cost, no cost side, we always tell people, and businesses, a good advice for them too, is to start with an energy audit. Because when you start with an energy audit, you're going to identify those things that are going to have the best rate of return. In addition, often those energy audits will include direct install of energy saving materials. So just getting an audit means you're saving money. I think what's really interesting now is that with the passing of the Inflation Reduction Act, there's actually money out there to help people do those things that would be much more of a stretch, like upgrading their electric system, doing window and door installation, which would normally be much more expensive, and also really helping to pay for things like solar, EVs, and not just new EVs, but there's tax credits in which you can get that if you're buying a used EV now.
Jody, Lincoln Park has really evolved into a thriving and a rather unique business community. How did that happen?
Everybody working together. To me, that's the secret sauce. In Lincoln Park, you have had the neighborhood, organizations like Ecolibrium3, businesses, all working together to really create an ecosystem where you want to go into the neighborhood, because it's not just about one business. It really is about the cross-pollination. You can go and have an amazing something to eat, and then you can enjoy the Children's Museum with your family, etc. So it really has been this cooperative working together, and now with being able to think about some big things like redoing the street and continued housing development, et cetera, we think it's only going to get better.
You mentioned EVs, electric vehicles, and the tax credits that are available. What about the infrastructure for it? Are there charging stations around in convenient places that people can access that would support that if people do go out and invest? Because it is an investment.
Yeah, there's different types of chargers. So a lot of people, in fact, what we learned from the National Renewable Energy Lab earlier today is about 80% of the charging happens at home. You plug in your car overnight and it trickles in and you're ready in the morning. For where we're at with electric vehicles right now, absolutely, we actually have enough chargers. But what we really need to be looking for is the fact in the next 5 years or so, about 50% to 60% of the new vehicles that are going to be sold, again, something I learned today from NREL, are going to be electric vehicles. And so for the West Superior Street rebuild, one of the things that NREL is doing is helping us look at what that charging infrastructure needs to be, not for today, but for the 5 and 10 and 15 years from now, because once you rebuild a street, you're kind of hard coding what's possible for the future. And we had a 2-hour planning session last night with the neighborhood, and then NREL today. So it's been fascinating thinking about that.
All right. Well, Jody Slick with Ecolibrium3, thank you so much. Have a good Earth Day weekend.
Yeah, and
Appreciate you
thank you.
coming
You
in.
too.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.